chat to us tonight.
A real pleasure to be able to offer this sort of accessibility to the football community across Tasmania, so thanks very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Do you think retention rates would increase if we did have a competition such as the T-League, in play? Obviously, something to aspire to, better players in more glamorous clubs in a way. And another thing is, obviously, that's a hot topic. What are we sort of expecting from the T-League at this stage? Will we actually see it?
Yeah, I see it as an aspirational, dream for players to play in it.
Where it sits at the moment is the T-League are in consultation phase with the clubs that have applied. And what we're doing is giving them the opportunity to be able to provide a little bit more information they can't necessarily capture in an application. But it's an important process for all clubs, and I'll stress this from the very start. There's clubs that are eligible to apply for the T-League and have the resources to do so, and that's great. And there's other clubs that don't have it at this stage, and that's fine too, because all clubs play a crucial role in the development of football. Whatever level you go to, the core responsibilities don't change in providing football opportunities for any player that's able to play at any level of the game. I've always said to clubs, look at the T-League as adding on a level to what you've got rather than creating a new club structured around it. So it's simply keeping the structure and the philosophies you have in place with an extra addition. Some clubs resourced up to do it, others aren't, and that's perfectly fine. But all clubs have an obligation, to provide a pathway. And I guess that's the main thing to come out of for me, is that there's a pathway down from whatever it is, whether it's local Premier League or state league competitions, down to into the junior associations to avoid any confusion as to where a child goes once they finish primary school to play football.
How many applications did FFT receive for the T-League?
Yeah, we're in consultation with the clubs from the very start. We've said we're going to keep that confidential, the numbers, but we're pleased with the number that we've got. We're excited by the interest in the league.
Over 15?
Not over 15, no.
Over 10?
That's it now. But so we're comfortable with what we've got, and we're comfortable that we've got applications from all three regions, which is important to us.
Decision still lays on the best applications, but interest is there. I guess another point to mention is we've had some interest from clubs that haven't applied but have said they're fully supportive of the process, and they believe it's a key stepping stone in the development of football, providing we get it right in terms of financial viability and sustainability of the competition, that their players can feed into a T-League club. So that's important as well.
A couple of scenarios. What happens if you are successful in getting the sponsorship funding for the league itself, but perhaps only 5 or 6 clubs make the grade in terms of the application and meeting the criteria? Would you run a T-League with 6 teams?
Yeah, we'd be open to it.
I think we need to review, where we've got it. Our intention is that we're going to have 8 viable teams. And we're very hopeful we're going to have the appropriate level of sponsorship to conduct the competition, not only in year 1 but for the first term of the 3 years. We're open to everything. We want this next level of competition because it aligns very well with what we're doing. We're in a very strong position at the moment, I believe. The leagues are competitive. People are attending matches. The atmosphere that I've been to games is very good, and there's an association that people want to be the best players they can be. If this new league that sits on top of the local Premier Leagues provides that opportunity, I think it's a very good step forward for the game, as well as the talented player that has aspirations to play beyond Tasmania, that is youth league and A-League football.
I guess there's some concerns given that previous state leagues have sort of folded. What sort of things are in place that ensure that T-League will be viable for the next 3 or 4 years?
I guess the point of difference that I've got from leagues that have folded in the past is that the expenses of the clubs haven't been subsidised in the sponsorship funding. So the model that's been put up here is to ensure that the sponsorship money offsets referees' fees, offsets travel, and is able to provide appropriate marketing to make the league a successful one. And in the past, my understanding is that those costs rest with clubs. Many people anecdotally tell me player payments and clubs living outside their means, and that's important that the clubs really stick to what they can do and offer the service that they can do, because we can control some things, we can't control others. So both FFT and the clubs have a responsibility to ensure we all live within our means to ensure that the competition is a viable one.
How close do you think we are to a state league? And part of that question is how close do you think we are to achieving sponsorship for the league?
Yeah, I think we're pretty close, I guess.
It's more likely than unlikely, I believe, to go ahead. As you know, the final stages of any sponsorship negotiations can drag out, and it's not until you have people written down on paper with signatures that you can really go out and sing from the hills. But certainly we're encouraged by the level of interest, and we're certainly, the next 4 weeks is crucial in trying to get these commitments finalised. But again, I'm very hopeful, and we're planning as though it's going ahead in 2013.
I know it's probably not too much you can say, but are they sponsors from within the state or interstate?
Yeah, a bit of both.
And with a major sponsor or a number of smaller sponsors?
Oh, there'll be we've always said we're going to get a suite of sponsors that will service us across a number of areas, some from major sponsor to contra, providing services at reduced rates. But certainly we're looking at all different types of partners that can benefit not only us, but keeping the cost to a minimum.
I guess some clubs have talked about concerns about not making the T-League and what happens to them. Obviously the Southern Premier League will continue to go on, but how can you ensure clubs will survive? Obviously they'll lose some gate takings and some support. Other players will go to the T-League clubs. How can you guarantee that they will keep going and thriving?
Well, the discussions I've had with clubs that aren't entering have been quite positive.
But also the discussions I've had with clubs that have entered, and if they do not gain selection in the T-League, I'm not getting those vibes. There's concerns about what the next level of football looks like and ensuring that it is still a very viable level for the players that are aspiring to move into the state league competition, T-League, and for those players that are playing Premier League and will always play Premier League and be very solid players in their community club. As I said before, all clubs have a very strong responsibility, whether they have a T-League team or not, to ensure they have a thriving pathway, and that's where we're looking to get to. And I'll touch on the National Competitions Review probably in a separate part, but certainly that's a process that's going away inside, and it's not a review to work out what's the level of football under look like. So it's not a national B league, it's not state versus state. It's a process to enhance what each state league or Premier League in each controlled by each member federation looks like. Bring some standards to that, and certainly use that as the next tier for A-League. So I guess the plan is to improve the clubs that participate in the state league competition, ensure they have thriving pathways from juniors through to the senior level, and then at that senior level in that competition then becomes a scouting mission for A-League clubs, and the commitment is that will be looked at to find the next A-League players that are Australia-based, so in each state. So that's certainly exciting, and it's ensuring that there are some consistencies statewide between member federations.